Power Jam 1140, we jam the city. Terry Mundy here with April Clark and
Clara Luper, and it is 9:24 in your town. And actually, Open Mic is being brought to you by A&H Construction Company, where we specialize in brick and concrete work. Now, if you need repair on cracks on your brick or concrete in your home, church, fireplace, sidewalks, driveways, mailboxes, or anything, we can fix it. Just give them a call at 424-7826. That number again is 424-7826, and get $50 off your cost if you tell them you heard it on the Power Jammin' 1140.
That's right. It's about 24 minutes after 9 o'clock. And first of all, I would like to introduce our guest, Clara Luper, going to be with us all week. And thank you for coming in and spending some time with us.
Thank you for giving me this rare opportunity.
Right. And now, I know you're involved in a lot of activities, and I told you that, we kind of basically talk a little bit about you or whatever, but I'm just going to kind of skim around because you'll be here all week for us to, as far as go back and learn a little bit about you. But you have something that's coming up, the 32nd Miss Black Oklahoma pageant. So can you give us a little bit more detail on that that's coming up?
Yes, I will be happy to. On June the 23rd, young ladies from all over Oklahoma will come to participate in the Miss Black Oklahoma pageant. I'm real excited about it. And people have been calling me and say, well, how did you get involved in pageantry? Let me tell you a bit about myself.
Okay.
Langston Hughes wrote that someday somebody's going to talk about me. Someday somebody's going to write about me, and he'd say it would be me myself. Well, I want you to know out there in Radio Land that you will be able to learn just a little bit more about Clara Luper. I was born of America, born of her dreams and her aspirations. I was born in Okfuskee County, grew up in Hoffman, Oklahoma, and I brag all the time because I graduated in the top 5 of my high school class. However, there were only 5 in my class. I've had experience as a farm worker. And once again, I got fired down in Hoffman, Oklahoma, because I was cutting the cotton too short or something. Anyway, I got fired, and that was quite an experience. But I've had experience, and I've seen a need to work with our young people and to develop our young people. I grew up April and Monday in a segregated society. I grew up at a time when black folks could only do nothing and got paid nothing. I saw my mother working from the lackeys in Hoffman, Oklahoma, but as she worked, she dreamed of a better day for her children. And because of that, I have continued to dream of a better day not only for my children, but for all of the children. Because every time I see a child, I see a part of me. In that child's eyes rests my dreams and my ambitions. And I always tell my kids, I want you to go places I've never been, and I want you to see things that I've never seen. And that is what has involved me in the Miss Black Oklahoma pageant. Now, I became involved because I was in New York City, and Mr. J. Morris Anderson was looking for someone to take over the pageant. And guess what? I was the only person there from Oklahoma, and I got the job. I came back and I tried to get people to go in with me, but no one believed in it. So I took it on some 32 years ago, and today I'm very proud of not only Miss Black Oklahoma, but of the other parts of the program. We have a page program, an escort program, a Perun program, all within the Miss Black Oklahoma pageant.
Okay. Now, so I would say basically how you grew up and things that you were exposed to and wanting equal rights for not only blacks but for everyone. Is that one of the reasons? And of course, you just basically said that, why you're so compassionate about the Miss Black Oklahoma pageant, and it helps build character with these young ladies and things like that?
Right. Well, what we need is somebody to believe in us. We need somebody to push us on. Now, down in Hoffman, Oklahoma, Reverend Lee Massey, Reverend Johnson, Mr. Ford, and others believed that I could learn. Mm-hmm. But I had no other choice because my parents believed in education. However, in terms of school, they were uneducated people, but they believed in education. And they gave us a choice. Either you get your lessons or you don't eat. And I thought that was kind of cruel. Mm-hmm. But I pass it on to my children. Either you learn or you don't eat. And that's the quickest way That's the quickest way to achieve goals. And I brought with me today one of my pages, and I wanted to tell you when she started in the page program. How old were you when you started in the page
Get up
program?
close to the mic.
I was 3 years old.
3 years
3
old?
years old. And her grandmother brought her to Freedom Center, and she didn't want to get out the car. She was just crying. And I gave her a choice. I said, Mrs. Stale, you go on home, leave her up here. And I told this young lady, I'm going to allow you to cry for 5 minutes. I want you to do a professional job. And after 5 minutes, if you haven't finished, I'm going to put the Board of Education in the right place. But she didn't believe me. So she cried for 5 minutes. At the end of the 5 minutes, I put my board on her, and I did a professional job. Didn't I, Coco?
Yes, you did.
And then, since then, she's been in the pageant, and I would like for you to interview her.
Oh, we sure will.
Because it's in the interview this page of what she does and what she has to do. I do just like my parents and my grandparents.
Okay, Coco, how old are you?
I'm 11 years old right now.
11 years old. Now, what are some of the things that you've been exposed to as far as being a page? I mean, what does that consist of?
Being a page, I have learned to project my voice, walk with posture, and introduce myself, and just be friendly.
So is this kind of like the foundation of preparing her not only for just Miss Black Oklahoma, but just preparing her for life?
Yes, it is actually preparing me for life.
Okay.
Okay, now, Coco, preparing you for life, what are the rules of the Miss Black Oklahoma pageant?
We have 3 rules: discipline, discipline, discipline.
3 rules. All right, you have 3 rules: discipline, discipline, discipline. Those are some good rules, and they apply not only to their work in Miss Black Oklahoma, but also in school work. Ask her about her school work. I need to know.
Okay, well, Coco, tell us a little bit about your schoolwork. I mean, how you grades, how you doing?
My grades are fine. I make A's and B's. I've been on the honor roll ever since I was in kindergarten, and I think that I'm doing very good.
Now, Coco, how did you feel as far as being, if you can remember that day, being 3 years old and crying out in the car, and going through the transformation as far as being exposed to Clara Luper, who is a very positive role model? I mean, can you recall some of that and starting to get confidence and building strength and believing in yourself? Can you remember any of that?
I did actually want to go home, but after I got the Board of Education, I did understand more that Miss Luper meant business. And from there to here, now I know that she's serious and she does mean business. So she lays down the law, and if you don't obey her, you will get the Board of Education.
now, you seem very bright and very disciplined and on a structured path. Do you see maybe some of your friends, or do you know someone maybe that used to be a friend or whatever that maybe they're on a different road or whatever? And what would you tell them as far as trying to get under someone positive like Clara Luper and do something more structured like what you're doing?
I will basically ask them to get more involved and be in the Miss Black Oklahoma pageant or join the NAACP, because it keeps you occupied when you do not have time to get in trouble or do bad things.
Okay.
Coco, I would like to ask you, we, as pages, you learn how to elect a president of the United States. Was that true?
Yes, sir.
How do you elect a president?
First, you do get delegate votes, then you get popular votes, and then you get electoral votes, and that's how you elect the president.
Thank you so very kindly. They must ask her any question, because
I got one.
being and what we've got to teach our young people, that you've got to know something. There's no place today for ignorance.
Okay.
So the people that work in Miss Black Oklahoma, NACP, and whatever, they have to learn.
Okay, I got a question for her. Don't mean to put you on the spot, but I just want to know your opinion, whatever you feel about it. What do you think about this past electoral process when we were in the process of electing our president, when President Bush was running against Al Gore, and the situation down in Florida, the count of the ballots and stuff like that? You have any input on that? Your personal feelings. You don't have to get technical as far as the voting process, but what were your personal feelings about that?
My personal feelings was that I really do think Al Gore should have won. That's just me. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, so do you think he was given an unfair deal? I mean, did you watch on television the news day by day and the coverage of what went down and everything?
Yes, I think that it was very unfair, but that's not me to say, but I do think it was very unfair to me.
So what do you think we should do in the future to try to eliminate problems like that as far as electoral process?
We should try our best to work together and try to get things more, just try and just work together. Maybe we can just get things more, you know, how can I say this? And just try and get them not to be so hard to do, because it really wasn't hard to do that, but I think that they just made it hard to elect the president.
Right. Okay. It seems like your political knowledge is quite well. I know when I was at that age, I didn't have a clue what was going on.
See, when you start in the Page program, I try to kick them out. I think that Coco should resign her position and give some other young people a chance. What do you think, Coco?
I'm not leaving the pageant because
Okay.
because I can't be a contestant until I'm 17, and I will wait till that time because I do want to be a contestant and become Miss Black Oklahoma one day.
Well, why don't you get back and let some other young lady your age be in it?
This is a good experience for me. They can be in it, but right now I'm not leaving.
So you sound like you're pretty determined, Coco.
Yes, I'm very determined to stay in this pageant.
Now, how many pages at one particular time can you have? This is either for you, Clara, Luper, or you, Coco. How many pages can you have at one time? Is it one, or it's just no certain amount? Just how many is in the program, or what?
We try to have at least 20, and our pages come from all over the state of Oklahoma. We have one little page that will be flying in from Arlington, Texas.
That's
we have
wonderful.
one from Houston, Texas, one from Muskogee, and we go straight on down the line. So we are very well situated.
Okay.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Now, I was going to ask you, you were mentioning before about the Freedom Center. And so those who maybe aren't too familiar with that, can you just explain a little bit about
Okay, I
that?
plan to do that later in the week.
Okay.
Because I will have I will explain the Freedom Center, and I will have a young man as my distinguished guest who's ridden a bicycle all over the United States.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to it. But Freedom Center is the home of the NAACP Youth Council, and our business now is, to me, it's really deep because we are training our young people for life.
So now, how would someone get in contact? What would be the procedures if someone was listening right now? They had a niece or a daughter or something at a young age that they wanted to expose them to the Page program as well as the pageant. What would be the procedures to contact you, and then you guys bring them in once a week, or how does that work?
No, the first thing we would have to do, and it's too late for the pageant this year because we cannot take any more pages, but the first thing you will have to do is to decide that you would like to have your child on a strong, structured program. And if you don't want your child disciplined, don't send that child to us. Now, the pages, along with the contestants, will move into the hotel on June the 23rd, and they will be there for an entire week. And we won't have any interference from parents because we will develop a program within a week. We do need, and we have had support from people for 32 years. Otherwise, we would be out of business. But this has been a very hard year for us because we have lost some of our strong supporters. Mrs. Freddie Stevens, who always gives a donation to Miss Black Oklahoma, died this year. We lost Miss Rachel Durham. We lost Mr. Gaddy. We have lost a lot. And now we are hoping that somebody will step in and say, I too want to do it. Now we have Eva Knight, who will be flying in here, who was our first Miss Bronzeville, and she gives a $1,000 cash award to Miss Black Oklahoma. Mr. William Harris will be giving $1,000 to Miss Black Oklahoma. Roland Hildred from Allstate will be giving $500. Mr. Pons, Mr. Carbon, Mrs. Letty Ruth Hunter, Mrs. Gloria Matthews, and others. We need people to back up our young people. Now, we can't do like other pageants where Mr. Trump and others go in and put millions of dollars into it. We can't do it. But what we do is we use what we have. So we would like for people to say, I want to be a part of the program. And the program is very extensive. We have some very distinguished speakers For example, I would just like to name some of the speakers.
Oh, yes, please do.
Our girls have to come in because they have to be trained. And you train people by motivating people.
Right.
You cannot criticize Clara Luper from Hoffman, Oklahoma, unless you have exposed me to something else. For example, on Saturday night, Merlin Hildred will be the guest speaker. Nancy Moore and Johnny Green will be coordinating the reception. Lynzetta Carter will be on the program, along with others.
Okay.
But on Sunday morning, Sterling Mitchell will be the guest speaker at the Wilma Ray's prayer breakfast, and we will worship at True Vine Baptist Church. Mr. T.C. Howe.
There you go.
Because I wanted to shock them. And people say, why do I support Russell Perry? I support anybody that's doing something. And if you're doing something like that, just let me know. I'll support you.
Okay, we'll be back more with Clara Luper and also in-studio guest Coco. We're having special guests in each week. And if you know someone you want to nominate or suggest, send the information in, fax it at 424-6708, or you can mail it in 1528 Northeast 23rd, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73111, or email me at TMONDAY, tmonday@kvsp.com. And to kick it all off, this past Friday, we had our owner in, Mr. Perry, and had a really good conversation just about everything. I caught him off guard on a few things and talked a little bit about politics and stuff like that, and talked about the radio stations and the Black Chronicle and stuff like that. But 6 stations, 1 pending, and we're still growing. And studio guests, Clara Luper and Coco. Now, Clara Luper, you mentioned discipline, and you said if you do not want your child disciplined, then do not bring them. How important is that?
That's 100% of it. Mm-hmm. Discipline is important. You cannot teach anything unless you have discipline.
Now, the situation that's going on across the country as far as discipline, you cannot discipline a child in the school or whatever, but the parents don't know what to do with them at home. I mean...
But see, that's the parents' fault.
Right.
In the first place, I would not feed any child that I could not control. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of business. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. It's business. And I'm so sick of parents saying, I can't do anything with my child. See, as parents, we have that child during the tender years of that child's life.
Very important.
And during those years, if we can teach that child discipline. Now, it doesn't make sense to put a $100 pair of tennis on a child and then put nothing in the child's head.
I agree.
Right.
I agree with you.
So I'm for discipline. If you give me a child, and if that child is disciplined, or if I can discipline, if he understands that he has to listen, then we can move forward.
Right.
So I'm really excited about that.
Right.
And I believe in children because I have had the opportunity, and I do a lot of work in prisons.
Right.
And I had the opportunity to go to Florida, to one of the largest federal prisons. Mm-hmm. And I have seen young people that have not been disciplined. Parents say, oh, you're cute, and this is cute, and everything. But see, once again, I go back to my background. I came from a background of uneducated people, mm-hmm. but they taught us some basic things. They taught us how to say thank you and excuse me. And my grandmother would make us raise our hands, and she would make us repeat. What? Do you remember what I told you that my grandmother would make us repeat every day?
Some of it. With these black hands, I will not steal. With these black hands, I will not kill.
That's right. With these black hands, I'm not going to steal nothing from anybody. I'm not going to kill anybody. My grandmother taught me that. Now, that's what you call grandmother's-ology, and it's good.
Tough love.
Yeah.
Tough love. Do you think, well, what are your feelings about the generation now, the younger generation now? I mean, I know there's a great need for positive individuals to reach back and help any and every child that they can, but do you think we have a lost generation?
I don't think we have a lost generation. Well, a long time ago, somebody wrote that we had a lost generation. I don't think the generation is lost. But I think it's our job as people that's living in the most exciting century that this world has ever seen to go back and find that generation. We can go back to the great teacher who taught us about that woman that lost one coin, went back and found it. We owe it to ourselves. Now, I am not easy on these young people in Oklahoma City and throughout this state, because here we are with thousands of teeth, and we don't have 15 dentists in this town.
Wow.
Here we have all kind of aches. How many doctors do we have? This is something that it's an emergency. And I had the opportunity to tell our kids, this is a SOS emergency, and we don't have time for you to waste. We need scientists. We've got to find a cure for cancer. We've got to find somebody that will find a method to grow teeth.
Right.
What's wrong with once you pull your teeth out and you lose your teeth, that you can develop some kind of chemical that will make teeth regrow? So these young people can do it. And that's why I'm sold on the AXO program that we will be talking about later this week.
Okay, so you wouldn't necessarily say that we have a lost generation, but maybe the older generation, do you think that they've lost the initiative and the drive to reach back and take care and guide that younger generation?
Well, some of our older people are suffering from what I call historical amnesia.
Mm-hmm.
They are not aware of the fact that somebody touched them, somebody helped them. And then living on easy street does not mean a thing. Because if you do not reach back and get these kids, call them lost, those kids are going to marry your daughters, or marry your sons, or impregnate your daughters. You've got to start thinking. And all of these children are our children.
Right. So mentoring is very important.
It's very, very important.
Right.
So would you even say that maybe what keeps you so young is the fact that you not only work with youth, you work with older people, everyone of every
I love
different...
older people, because every time I see an older person, I like to go up and say, thank you for surviving. I had the opportunity to be on a program with an Indian, a white, and a black. And naturally, I was only black, and the Indian was laughing at my people. And I'm very sensitive about that, because he was talking about that his people did not do like our people, you know, submit to slavery and all of that. And when he finished, it was my time. And I said, well...
Bring out the Board of Education on him.
I'm happy to be here representing black people, because in 1619, there were 20 blacks that came to America on a ship named Jesus. 29. And as I understand it, in 1492, when Columbus came here, there were over 42 million Indians here. And my brother here stated what the Indians did. But let me tell you what's happening now. Today we stand 35 million of us, moving up every day. And I'm afraid to ask you how many real Indians there are in America today.
Right.
I'm really proud of our people, because we had better sense to go out here and fight a man with a bow and arrow sticking out a gun. Oh, well, anyway, the kids
Now, please excuse my ignorance. About the Oklahoma sit-in movement that you participated in. Am I correct? You did.
Yes, I did.
Can you give us a little bit of brief history about that? How you felt before you actually participated or you led that sit-in movement here in Oklahoma?
Let me tell you something. First, I'm black. I'm as black as a blackberry, and my parents have taught me that I'm black. White America taught me that I'm black. For example, in Henrietta, Oklahoma, black people couldn't even try on shoes. And those of you in Oklahoma City, you couldn't even try on hats down at Johnny Brown's. But because of the fact that I hated segregation as a child, and because I was denied the right to go into a library and learn and read books, going to a school where we got a microscope, but we never got any lens. I saw my first amoeba out at Langston University, and thank God for Langston. I am saying that I hated it. And it was my generation, my classmate, Ada Lois Scipio, who stood up at Oklahoma University and said, I'm going into that university. It was Emily Freeman that said, I'm going to see to it that black teachers will receive the same pay as white teachers. And when you are buried down and bogged down in historical facts, and you know you're black, then you've got to do something. And I've got to be the advisor of the NAACP Youth Council, because nobody else would take it. If you notice, my life has been what nobody else, nobody else would do. That's exactly right. So I became involved, and when I had the opportunity to go with a group of kids down to Cat's Drug Store, I realized that I had to go, because my dad had died in Veterans Hospital, a proud veteran, and never had the opportunity to do what he wanted to do, and that was to take his children to a restaurant or a movie. And I would like to say that when I think of the sit-ins, I think of W.K. Jackson, and I'm so proud of them, because yesterday they burned the mortgage on that church.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that something? On both buildings?
Yeah, that's wonderful.
They burned that mortgage. A deacon lit the mortgage, and Reverend Jackson put it on fire. And I would like to thank all of them. And I'll be telling you more about that. But I have an obligation, and I call myself a blackologist because I have lived as a black baby. I saw my brother die because a black doctor would not wait on him in Henrietta, Oklahoma, where they had a sign, Negroes read and run, and if you can't read, run anyway. I know what it means to be a black teenager, a black college person, a black person looking for a job, and even today, we have segregation and discrimination, and we've got to move on.
I got a question for you. As a blackologist, this is something that you've lived. It's not something that you just went to college to study, but it's a lifestyle, and I understand you 100%. But as a blackologist, not to say anything negative about the young generation, but where are our leaders of tomorrow? And I say that because I think of Reverend Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, but where are our young leaders for tomorrow, besides the leaders that's out there now?
Well, I'm looking at some now. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at April. I'm looking at Coco. Our leaders are here. They develop only because we have old folks. For example, you never would have heard of Martin Luther King if it had not been for that old preacher that was there,
right.
Reverend Nixon, who says that here we have a young man that has education. He has a word. He can speak for us. And I'm counting on you young people. Sure, you're here.
Okay. All right. You have a question there?
Well, yes, I just wanted to talk a little bit more because it was very interesting how you were saying really you got so involved with the movement with your father, who was sitting there in the hospital and he passed and was not able to take you to a restaurant like what he wanted. So you would say that was mainly your inspiration for why you got so much involved with the civil rights movement?
My inspiration was just being black.
Right.
Because I'd been discriminated against on buses. I'd been discriminated against with jobs and everything. But being black is a responsibility, and it's an experience. And there are many white people that are black because they feel the same way I do. I had the opportunity to debate, to lead of the Ku Klux Klan, and I understand how to debate. All you got to do is make the person you're debating angry, and they can't think. So when I started the debate, I said, oh, I'm so happy to be here with my brother today. And he started explaining to me why I was not his brother.
Oh, wow.
And I apologized to him. I said, well, I'm misinformed because I've studied that God is our Father, and all men are brothers.
Now, once again, I have to say this word because I love this word, being a blackologist. The state of being black, then and now, is it the same, or is the experience somewhat different?
Well, the experience is the same, and it's different. It's different because we don't have the signs up saying for colored only.
But it's the same?
It's the same in that there are a lot of people, white and black, who do not believe that a black person can perform a job. So that's why I call myself a blackologist, and you don't hear me trying to say I'm a leader because I don't know how to do anything but lead my kids to the library to somewhere else. But I am only saying that being black is a responsibility, and being white is a responsibility because white folks don't understand that black history is nothing but white history. That's all it is. We wouldn't have any history if it were not for whites. And blacks and whites are mixing together like they have never mixed before. I have at least 20 white kids that call me mama. I don't mind because what I want to do, the little time that I have on earth, is to do the best I can with what I have.
Okay. All right. You got any more questions, Rachel?
Well, actually, yeah. Now, I wanted to also, just touch base a little bit now as far as with white kids that you also have been working with and everyone, different races that you've been working with. Has anyone ever come to you and talked to you about where they feel like any kind of reverse discrimination, say being white, and then coming to you, do they feel like sometimes they may feel left out or what have you?
Of course they do. They do that all the time because in the first place, there are a lot of white people, kids that don't work up to their potentials, and they are looking for a crutch to bend on. So I'm real tough on white kids because they have responsibilities. You know, when you think about white kids that are now enjoying the fruits of freedom without ever having to pay any price of freedom, we've got to remind them And I get a kick out of speaking at white churches and what have you, because I know they will just invite me one time, and I won't have to worry about going back. Because I'm going to say I think white churches should lead the movement. They have a responsibility to do something in this community. And when I go to a white church and they tell me what they are doing in Africa, I say, what about in Oklahoma City? Because I know we are powerful. I know I have great power. I have power as a blackologist, sir, to move into a neighborhood and take over the neighborhood without firing one gun. Because a lot of them will move out because I moved in the neighborhood, and they are afraid that if they stay there, they know Clara Luper going to keep her yard better than they are going to keep theirs.
Right. Well, what are your feelings on past discussions and/or debates about reparations being paid to African Americans?
I think it's great. We paid everybody else. We paid the Indians for their land. We should be paid for our labor. And when that day comes, the white folks going to be black. You will have more white folks signing certificates that they are black. I made that statement at a teachers' meeting in Oklahoma City. George Henderson was president of this meeting, and I told him, I said, white folks, things are changing. We might get paid. And one lady came up to me and asked me, said, Miss Luper, I have a daughter who's half white. Will she get any money? I said, she would get a half as much as I would.
What are your thoughts or feelings on the Black Wall Street that happened in Tulsa? I mean, are you familiar with that happened, the burning of the black businesses and everything that happened in Tulsa?
I'm very familiar with that, but I am disgusted with when I go to Tulsa and see how that place was burned out, and see how it seems to me that they have fenced it in where there's no room for economic development right in that immediate area. Can you imagine being next to the university and having your big thing there, and you don't have room in that area for any other development? And I think that they should be paid. We paid the Japanese when we took them out. The Marshall Plan was nothing but a payment. I was in Japan. We paid Japanese. We've given everybody else his opportunity. And I don't mind getting my 40 acres and a mule. and I think as a blackologist, I have mine coming, and I can prove my blackness because you can look at me.
Okay. Tell you what, we'll do. We need to take another short break, and we will be back with more Clara Luper.
Right now, Sears Auto Center is having a huge Michelin
pageant or...
Yes, I want to tell you that tickets are available for the pageant. We have representatives from Ardmore, Bowley, Carter County, Clinton, Duncan, Guthrie, Langston University, Muskogee, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma County, Oklahoma City University, Oklahoma State University, Oklahoma University, Ponca City, Putnam City, Rose State College, Springer, Stevens County, Tulsa, St. Gregory, UCO, and the Village. What a combination. And I would like for people to take out ads in our souvenir book. Those of you that are rich, and I know a lot of you are rich out there, I would like for you to give some scholarships. If there's a stocking scholarship for $5, we would appreciate it.
Okay.
Would I take this opportunity to thank you all for giving me this opportunity? You have certainly honored me. You have certainly, I'm just so overwhelmed to be with you two young people, our future. They are my leaders right there. Thank you so very much.
Now, well, real quick, if someone wanted to donate or be a part of the pageant financially, what would they do? Would they call?
They would call 424-3949. They would call some of our leaders, and we have a lot of people that work with us in the Miss Black Oklahoma pageant. Nancy Davis, Lydia Hunter, Leola Ford, Bosie Walker, Gloria Matthews, Rodea Hornbeck, Marilyn Hildred, and what have you. I could go on down the line.
Okay. All right. We want to thank you once again for coming in and spending time with us. And like I told April before we started the interview, I've heard you on the radio before. I've heard Fred interviews you. I've heard you on other radio stations. I've seen you at luncheons and speaking engagements. But I told April this is actually my first time sitting down with you, and it's an honor.
I'm going to tell you, it's an honor to be here with you. And I love Fred Elkins. Don't let anybody fool you. Thank you so very kindly. And this is Clara Luper. Happy to be a part of the open mic.
All right. 6 stations and 1 pending.
6 stations.
And we'll be back with...
I bet nobody in Oklahoma will ever